Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of Project Dream. In today's episode, we get a first-hand look of just how bad the rust actually is. We're going to cut all this rust out, then we're going to custom make a piece to fit on here, and then we're going to weld it in the car. Stay tuned. Something like that'll work. Alright, so there's a few things. Before we get started on this, I want to talk about the first being safety glasses, obviously. Second, there being a respirator or some type of dust mask, because you do not want to be breathing in that stuff. And also fire protection, because we're going to be using the grinder for this off and on. It's going to be creating sparks, so we want to make sure you got a fire extinguisher. I always keep one in the garage. So make sure you've got one that you're ready to go, and then we'll get straight to this. First thing I want to do though is I want to vacuum up all the stuff that's in here. And then what I want to do is we'll take our wire brush here. We're just going to brush this and see what is mostly rust. This is pretty much all rust, but some of this isn't rusted all the way through yet. But where this seam is mostly where I want to cut all this out. So we'll go ahead, vacuum, and get to the other stuff. So when it's 90 degrees when you're doing this, be sure to take water breaks. Look at that. Down to the absolute wire for size. Alright, so with much grinding, pounding, hammering, and all the goodness, we've got it pretty good snugged up in here. It's not going to be completely snug with the edge, but that's where the weld's going to come in. And this is just to like seal it up. This isn't a show car or anything. So we got a small gap right down here. But other than that, this whole thing is basically butt up against the car. this is definitely not like a flat piece. Like this piece down here actually concaves in, then up here concaves out slightly. They've got this loop right here, this out heel there, and then this part comes back in. So this is not, it's not flat like at all. So alright guys, so I put this red cover on, so basically as I weld, it's not going to damage my lens. Now this is actually too light. This red is actually for plasma cutting. So the first thing we're going to do in this is we're just going to do what's called a tack weld. The clamp has to be on both pieces. And when you're touching it, you want to make sure you're not touching any part of this that might go through you to the machine or to the ground. So they got everything in control. Turn this on and it's welding. Alright, so excuse the fan noise next to me. It's pretty hot. Now that all of the welding in here is done, we need to seal this and then we're going to paint it. Don't really want to breathe this stuff in just because it's pretty strong. There we go. First, you want to make sure that your brake cleaner says non-chlorinated, right? Because if you burn a brake cleaner that does not say non-chlorinated, it releases a very toxic chemical because it is bleach based. So be sure before you do any of that you get that all cleared out. So if you did this job properly, you wouldn't even need to seam seal this. You would just paint over it. But I've got all these holes, and this, I didn't even weld this because this metal here is actually like, it's only like, what, I don't know the exact size, but it's very, very thin and it just melts through. I had that problem here in a lot of spots. Like here I had to go out because it kept melting the holes. There's a hole up here that was from the rust. So we're just going to seam seal all this to help keep water from coming out. And then on top of that, we'll put a nice coat of paint so that it just kind of bounces off, because if it's a rubbery texture, it can actually, other debris and crap can stick to it.